Live from Studio B in San Francisco, it's our show number 852 for Friday, the 25th of July. Julie, I trust you are well.
I am.
Any hot tips?
Oh, yes.
What hot tips besides it's still winter here in San Francisco?
That's right.
Who was it? Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens said?
The
coldest
summer.
No, the coldest winter
I ever spent was the summer in San Francisco.
That's about right. And it's barely touched 70 degrees once here in the last 3 or 4 months.
Yes. And that's why they're having the San Francisco Marathon with 33,000 people running here tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right?
You're right.
Jody Shields is on early Saturday morning in Australia in Wangi. Chris Fury in Mornington down the bay from Melbourne, also in Australia. Gordon Smith in Denmark. Rhode Island Rover. Mark Holland. He says if you have any eggs to fry, there are plenty of really hot surfaces in Boston today. So it's hot there. That's why they don't run the Boston Marathon this time of year, Julia. They run our cold marathon. Here in San Francisco, I'm your host, Tom Eamon. We have a fabulous show today, fully 5 Governor's Cup skippers on the show today, and 2 crew from various corners of the world. We'll get right into that in a second. Let's look at the starting line for today's show. Happy Friday and happy kickoff, Julia, to the oldest and most prestigious match racing championship in the world.
Yay!
And you know what that is?
Yes.
The Governor's Cup. And that's why we have Andy Rose on, standing patiently by down in Newport Beach. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Tom.
You're co-hosting with us today. You are, I call you the GovCup guru, but you don't like that, so I changed your lower third to GovCup Steering Committee, because you are also really the head of that, coordinating for the Balboa Yacht Club, the 58th edition of this oldest and most prestigious international youth match racing championship. Andy, what's the big news about next week, if anything?
Well, first to see if the sailors from the Worlds that are sailing in the Governor's Cup make it. They have one travel day from Poland to here, which they'll be okay. They're young, but see how much jet lag affects each one of them on Wednesday, the first day of racing. They do have Tuesday's an easy day because we have them check in and then practice sailing that afternoon. But that should be interesting. But we've got quite a fleet. 3 of the 4 semifinalists from last year are back. We have some people like Michael Kirkman, who has beaten a couple of those, or one of those semifinalists at least. Mm-hmm. And so it should be a great fleet.
Yep, and Michael's with us, standing by, live from the great state of Michigan, Novi, Michigan, where I grew up, and he's just a stone's throw, in fact, in the northwestern suburb of Novi. We'll get to him in a sec. Andy, Michael, nice to have you. I also have a video that I taped earlier this morning with the gang, as you mentioned, Andrew, at the World Youth Match Racing Championship in Gdynia, Poland. Justin Callahan, Josh Hyde, and Morgan Pinckney will air that video after we're done with Michael. And then we have a treat because we have Cole Tapper coming on with 2 of his two crew coming on from Sydney live if they get out of bed in time. It's Saturday morning down there. I pushed it to 2 o'clock our time, which is 7 in the morning their time, and I hope they'll be on as well. Cole, Jack, and Hamish, and Andy's going to stay on through this whole thing to help co-host this 852nd Sailing Illustrated show. Coaching Corner with John Emmett. He's in Weymouth, where both the Wasps and the Opties are going on in a big way. Alistair Murray's checking in from Lake Garda with a video with his daughter, reflections on the Taser Worlds that just completed their beautiful Lake Garda. Mm-hmm. We'll give you a quick update on the America's Cup, the non-America's Cup 38, what's going on. I have a latest one here. And finally, on the last leg, we'll talk about the Admiral's Cup, which, of course, starts tomorrow. Or not the Admiral's Cup, the Rolex Sydney. Let me start again. The Admiral's Cup has been going on, and the Rolex, look at Andy's smile. He loves it when I fudge up. We have tomorrow the start of the Rolex Fastnet race, the Royal Ocean Racing Club's 100th edition of that race. And, of course, we have our usual Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, our fantastic Fozy, and more. Fabulous show ahead of us. Thank you for joining us. Just a quick note on the aforementioned Admiral's Cup. That's a team event this year, 2 boats per team. The Royal Hong Kong is leading going into tomorrow's Fastnet race on 36 points. Yacht Club de Monaco, as several of you in the FOSI tipped Yacht Club de Monaco along with Royal Hong Kong as top teams. And we're going to ask another offshore sailor, Michael Kirkman, just finished the Chicago Mac as well as the Bayview Mac, what he thinks and who he's picking as his top team. We'll pick that up from him in a minute. YCCS, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, is in third. The RNZ, surprising to a lot of people, but top-notch team with Adrian Stead helping them, the famous British yachtsman. They are in fourth. And then the CYCA, Coal Tappers Club down in Sydney, standing in fifth as they start tomorrow. The triple points, final Fastnet race for the revived Admiral's Cup. It's been 20-some-odd years since that happened. But today we're celebrating the Road to the Governor's Cup, the 58th edition thereof, 2025 edition. Julia, you always like to say what we're celebrating, and that is indeed what we are celebrating. You recognize that club, no doubt.
Indeed.
My favorite club in the world. And we will be hosting there at Balboa Yacht Club there in Newport Beach, Corona del Mar, next week, the 58th Governor's Cup. A day later, starting the July 29th, Tuesday the 29th, running through Sunday the 3rd. And Andrew, why are we starting a day later?
With all due respect to World Sailing, for the second time in 3 years, they don't announce generally where they're going to have the Youth Worlds. Or the dates until like January. But we pick our dates years ahead, and they're always basically the third week of July. But for the second time in 3 years, they put it right on top of us. And that didn't seem to make much sense. So they said, no, we can't possibly move our event. So we moved back one day, which is the first time we've done that in decades. We have talked to them, and they have promised that this will never happen again. And so we'll be at this. You'll be asking the same question next week or next year.
Hopefully that won't happen. But that's what we are celebrating today, the GovCup, starting Tuesday next week. Here's the bumper. Last year's champions, Cole Tapper, who will be on, as I said, in about 50 minutes. He'll be joining us live from Sydney if God, the internet,
and his alarm clock
are all working. Governor's Cup 2025, a terrific lineup, Andy. Tell us about these 12 skippers from 6 countries.
Well, let me start with Cole. He's had a spectacular 2 years, arguably the best youth match racer in the world. But I think winning this Governor's Cup will be easier for him than those 3 getting up at 7 in the morning. Maybe they'll just stay up all night. Who knows? It's a great fleet. As I said, 3 of 4 semifinalists are back. The 4th was Jeffrey Peterson, who has aged out. He's now the advanced age of 23. This is an under 23 event. But Josh Hyde and Cole are, clearly 2 of the favorites. Justin Callahan from the United States is also. So those 3 would be the favorites. But if you had to give an edge, it'd be to Cole. He's sailing with the same crew he sailed with, over this period. He's won pretty much everything there is to win, and obviously kept Jeffrey Peterson last year from winning a 3rd, which would have been a first in Governor's Cup history. No one's ever won 3. But the rest of the fleet is great. Last year, the 11th and 12th place teams were by far the youngest. Dylan C. and Sienna Nichols. Dylan from Newport Harbor Yacht Club, just up the bay here, and Sienna from the Balboa Yacht Club. They just completed the Rose Cup, which is the United States Youth Match Racing Championship, and got 1st and 2nd. Dylan edging out Sienna for 1st and 2nd in one of the tougher fleets that I've seen, maybe the toughest fleet I've seen in that event. And both of them will be sailing here. We've talked before a lot, Tom, about the experience, and I've talked to every match racer I know, and I've been match racing since I won the 3rd and 4th Governor's Cups back in the dark ages. Experience is everything. I think one's curve in a fleet race is sort of a shallow, curve. In match racing, it's almost vertical. more match races you sail, you get better every time without question. So I think you're going to see those two. They may not win this year, but they still have. Sienna has only 6 left before she ages out. So I think you will see both of them at some point winning the Governor's Cup. It may not be this year, but I don't think you'll see them getting 11th and 12th. And then we're happy to have Sweden and Denmark back. So it's in Ireland again for the third year in a row, which is awesome. Daniel Kemp returns from Australia. Daniel's very good and is getting better. This should be quite a fleet. Oh, I did mention my friend Morgan Pinckney, who sails with me. Morgan is quite a character and also quite a sailor. And I see that he's in the quarterfinals of the Worlds as we speak. And then finally, Theo Westerlund from Sweden. Theo is the younger brother of one of our favorite Governor's Cup sailors, Marius Westerlund, who has quite a sense of humor. I also failed to mention Ethan Fong from New Zealand, who has just about as good a record as Josh Hyde. So we got 2 strong competitors from Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and 2 strong competitors from Australia, one from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, Bull Tapper, and then Daniel Kemp from the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club.
Well, and I've got a video. Not only do we have Michael Kirkman live here standing by, we'll get to him in a second, Andy, but we've also got a video, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that I taped a couple hours ago from Gdynia, live to tape, Justin Callahan, Josh Hyde, and Morgan Pinckney, 3 of the top teams, certainly skippers coming into this year's Governor's Cup, the 58th edition thereof. And speaking of which, we will be doing 10 shows, counting our Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'll do my Sailing Illustrated show. But starting next Tuesday night, Andy, we'll have your Meet the Teams show. That is live at 8 o'clock Pacific. And that's always a hoot. I hope Michael Kirkman's already, I talked to the kids this morning at Gdynia. They're already planning. And by the way, Andy, they're hoping that you put Morgan and Justin together again, the Yaley and the Harvard teams together on the stage for the Meet the Teams next Tuesday night. And what are you going to say about Michael Kirkman? Do you have anything teed up for him?
Well, I think we'll ask Justin Callahan about Michael, because Michael beat him up pretty badly in the intercollegiates. So that might be fun. But does that mean, Tom, that we're going to have the second annual the tricycle race between Harvard and Yale?
I don't know, Michael, if you know what happened last year, but they surprised, you have to prepare for this thing. This is your first GovCup, Michael. You have to prepare because Andy does a roast. It's a gentle roasting at the Meet the Teams, the opening ceremony Tuesday night. And it's covered live to the world on YouTube and Facebook. And the kids that are the skippers, the teams that have been there several times, they usually come back to try to get Andy back. And last year there was a tricycle race. Morgan Pinckney challenged Andy to a tricycle race right there under the tent during the Meet the Teams on at the opening ceremony, and it was hilarious. And I asked them, Andy, off when we were doing the tech check, what they were planning this year, and they wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, they think they're good, but they're not. Michael, the tricycle race was because we had a video of Morgan Pinckney at Yale in a fraternity stunt, having a tricycle race at halftime of a basketball game. So we thought we'd see if he really could do that. There was a protest even on that, though, because Morgan was actually riding the tricycle, and Justin, being the Harvard person and smarter, just put his knee on it and used his leg. So Morgan protested that, and the committee's still discussing it.
Okay, well,
that's funny.
You got to prepare for that, Michael. That'll be fun because that is Tuesday night at 2000, and then we take the day off Wednesday. But Thursday through Sunday mornings, we do a pre-race morning show live at 0900 Pacific time. Again, all 4 of those days. Then we're live covering the racing both Saturday and Sunday at 11:30. And then the press conference, the semifinalists press conference with the 4 semi-skippers Saturday night at 1900 Pacific. And then Sunday at 1700 after it's all over, we will do the press conference that, again, Andy hosts with the finalist skippers and roll right into the awards. All live on YouTube and Facebook next week. And our regular Tuesday show, it's the only show we'll do next week, and I will have Christine Gribben, the esteemed, Andy calls her the chair for life. The chair, she's chaired the GovCup for something like 10 plus years by now. And she will, as always, she does, it's been our custom to have her on as my guest, previewing the GovCup next Tuesday at our normal 1300 Pacific. No show next Friday because we'll be out on the water getting ready for the live coverage on Saturday and Sunday. That's the Governor's Cup taking place next week at Balboa Yacht Club. Andy, we've got another group. You're really the guy who wrangles the sponsors. You got a terrific group of sponsors again this year for next week's GovCup.
The first is Call of the Sea, and it's actually Terry Cowsey and his foundation, Call of the Sea, which has a tall ship in San Francisco Bay. It's dedicated to getting young people onto the water, basically, and they do a terrific job. But that's Terry Cowsey. He's been with us now he's a Balboa Yacht Club member and has been doing this for some years now. And without him, frankly, we just couldn't put on the Governor's Cup the way we do. The Crowell family was led by Jack Crowell, who died at 100, I think, earlier this year. I can't remember, it was end of last year, earlier this year. But we were fortunate enough to have Jack at the Governor's Cup last year before one of the press conferences, and we were able to introduce him. I went to his 100th birthday party, and his son, Spencer, who has taken over the wonderful sponsorship for the family, read from Jack's diary, which said, "Yeah, we have 2 missions today, but tomorrow is my 19th birthday, I believe." The 2 missions were on January 6th, 1944. So, which was the day for the younger people. At any rate, Jack was terrific. Just loved the Governor's Cup. Spencer immediately said, "Absolutely, we're going to continue that." So we thank both of them. We have a new sponsor, Trish Steele, my old friend from Hawaii and Newport Beach. She has contributed a very large amount this year also at the last minute. And so we thank Trish a lot. So we've done well, but I think hopefully I can go out on a good note and somebody else can do the sponsorship fundraising next year.
Fat chance, Andy. Right, Julia? Not likely.
Not likely.
Hey, Julia likes to remind us to go back and look at the comments because they're rolling in here from around the world. I see Denise Peterson, of course, the mother of Jeffrey Peterson, who will be, Andy, Jeffrey's going to be doing some commentary with us. Is that right? Coaching and commentary?
Yeah, he's coaching until he'll be with us Saturday and Sunday. He's coaching until then.
And I see Larry Kennedy on that. He's in
Larry.
He's in New York doing his job in the financial district, but of course he spends a lot of time out on Long Island at Oak Cliff and at Sewanee Corinthian, where they are hosting the Rose Cup next year, the U.S. National Youth Match Racing Championship, named after you, Andy.
It was named after me. Yeah.
Oh,
you sound.
I know. Grump.
Julie, he always says, "Well, I didn't name it. Somebody else named it. The Newport. What's that called? Newport Beach.
Newport Balboa Sailing and Seamanship Association, which actually owns these boats and has been incredibly supportive of junior yachting and junior match racing for over 20 years now."
Mm. I see a new name here in the chat. I'm sure he's watched the show before, but Kevin Kleem, who is the father of Eddie Kleem, who's sailing with the Balboa Yacht Club crew. He's sailing, right? He's the crew?
Yep.
So nice to see Kevin on. I friended him earlier. He friended me, one or the other, on Facebook earlier this week. Chris Exley is in Massachusetts. David James is saying, "Go Bo Jest." That, of course, is Carl Kwok's boat in the Admiral's Cup with... Did Gavin Brady ever sail in the GovCup, Andy?
Yeah.
So,
matter of fact, he did.
Another GovCup alum sailing in the Admiral's Cup, of which there are very many. Christopher Gillingham, speaking of that corner of the world, saying hello from Leamington. And on and on and on. Greg Phillips on the Gold Coast of Oz. Ed Vitrano, hello from SoCal. Perhaps we'll meet up at GovCup. Hope to see you there, Ed. Very much looking forward to it. Phil Yeomans is saying, "Good morning. Overnight rain in Sydney. Start of the Gold Coast race at 1300 today, Saturday in Sydney." GovCup's what we're featuring, though, today. Starts next Tuesday night at 2000 with Andy's Meet the Teams and Roast live on TV. Julie, we're also celebrating, as always, our FOSI, whether they're regulars watching the show, whether they've been on the show, and those who give us a few bucks a month via patreon.com/GovCup join/Sailing Illustrated, which is how we stay on the air, how we have a facility like this, how we have the equipment to put on a show with people around the world, live and in color. And we've been doing it now for 9 years.
Isn't that incredible?
It is hard to believe. So thanks very much to all of you for your support. Let's get back to the road to the Governor's Cup and welcome in from the great state of Michigan, a newbie, a GovCup newbie, although he is just graduated from Boston College in Boston, of course. Please welcome Michael Kirkman from Novi, Michigan, representing the Bayview Yacht Club. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Tom. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. What's that banner over your right shoulder, the blue and white one up on your wall?
I got a good old Detroit Lions flag.
They had a pretty good year.
Yeah, they did, which hasn't happened most of my life, but certainly turned it around recently, which has been cool to watch.
Yeah, well, they have had a good year. You are from Novi, Michigan, and I see that you have started with your brother, did you say, a high school sailing team before you went to BC?
Yeah, so before I went to BC, me and my brother actually started a high school team where there aren't many sailors that went to our school. So me and my brother would just pick our friends that didn't sail and would be like, hey, do you want to come out for the weekend and try this sailing thing? And that's how it started. And we were able to do a little bit of sailing, which was really cool. That
looks like a Chicago Yacht Club Burgee behind you. Was there some kind of a high school event in Chicago?
Yeah, that was the Great Lakes Championship, which we were fortunate enough to win, which was the Midwest Fall High School Invitation or like championship.
Nice. In case anybody is geographically challenged, let's tell people where Novi, Michigan is. It's a northwestern suburb of Detroit. You can see Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, in Canada. They're down in the lower right corner. And as a lot of you on here will know, I'm from just not far from Novi. We used to play hockey in Novi as kids out at Portage Lake between Dexter and Pinckney, so northwest of Ann Arbor, stone's throw away from where you are, Michael, in Novi, Michigan. And I should ask you when I get rid of the green screens, what is Novi? How did Novi get its name?
Yeah, so Novi actually got its name NOVI because it was the number 6 stop on the train. So NO standing for number and VI was the Roman numeral 6.
Well done. That the train from Detroit to Lansing. Andrew, did you know that? Novi,
I did
Michigan.
not know that. That's great.
Julia, did you know that?
I didn't.
That's you never know what you're going to learn here on sailing.
I shall never forget it.
On Sailing Illustrated.
Oh, nor I.
Right? You guys, you and Julia went to Stanford, Andrew. I'm surprised you didn't know that.
Well, we lack a few facts here and there.
I know, every once in a while.
Novi, Michigan, just northeast of Ann Arbor and about a 30-minute drive from where I grew up at Portage Lake outside of Ann Arbor. You played some football. Every kid in Michigan plays football and or hockey, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing every sport, hockey, basketball, baseball, football. I wouldn't say I was the best, but I definitely enjoyed getting a well-versed mix of all the different sports growing up.
And when did you start sailing?
I started sailing ever since I can remember. My parents owned a J120 sailboat that they still have currently. And so when I was younger, I would go out on the boat with them on Saturdays or Wednesdays and sail. And a funny story is that my mom actually raced one of the Chicago to Mackinac races while she was pregnant with me. So I've been on the boat for a while.
But that picture of the boat, that looks like you're in Newport, Rhode Island on that boat. Isn't that the Newport Bridge?
I believe that's actually the Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah, that's the Mackinac Bridge.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense, but it has that same, see that concrete abutment, it has the same sort of style as the Newport Bridge. So the Mackinac, which is a long bridge, of course, connecting the lower and the upper peninsulas in Michigan. Andy, for extra credit, do you know what Michiganders some people call ourselves Michiganians, but that's a little stuff. Only people from Grosse Pointe, right, Michael?
Yeah.
But with the rest of us are Michiganders, and that bridge connects what, Andy?
Just as you said, the upper and lower peninsula.
And what do we in the lower peninsula, what do we call the people who live in the upper peninsula? Julia, do you know?
cherry pickers.
No, that's the Lower Peninsula. That's cherry pickers in the northwest corner. No, Michael, what do we call people from the UP?
Is it the Uppies?
Oopers.
Oopers.
Youpers.
Oop, as in uppers.
As in uppers, Youpers. Okay, enough Michigan trivia for the day. That doesn't look like Michigan. That looks more like Florida or maybe Bermuda.
Yeah, that was me sailing like probably almost 10 years ago now in Bermuda with the U.S. national team, which was an awesome experience growing up.
Were you a better sailor than a hockey player or a basketball player or a football player? Was that your number one sport from the get-go?
Yeah, there's a reason I'm still doing the sailing and I'm not in the MLB or something like that.
Yeah, you know, Andy, it's funny because I've always said the same. I love to play hockey, as you know, Michael. We talked a little bit about it. And if I was half as good a hockey player as I was a sailor, I probably would have gone and played hockey. But I was too small and too slow and curtonic. But you obviously have been sailing in a sailing family. Your grandparents, your parents. I looked a little bit up about all of you and the long history that your family has in the Mackinac races and beyond. But you've been sailing a lot of small boats, including collegiate Club 420s, I guess.
Yeah, I did growing up, I did the Opti circuit and then started doing a little bit of Club 420 sailing, where this photo was in San Francisco Bay back when the Chubs had the Sears Championship for the junior championship, which was a really cool event. And I loved traveling during the summers because being from Michigan, we didn't really get to sail in the winters all the time. So took full advantage of the summertime and doing the C420 circuit and stuff like that.
Well, speaking of traveling, this is J70 sailing, you told me, at the Davis Island Yacht Club. We have several foes of you tune into the show from DIYC. I used to race the Fireball Midwinters down there. We trailed, that's a long drive.
Yes.
Down to, well, that's in Tampa. But it's a long drive to Florida, let alone go to Miami. You get to Florida, Michael, and you think you're there. And if you're going to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, let alone Key West, you still got a long, long way to go. But it's a lot of driving, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Fortunately, I was able to do a lot of flying and doing the sailing, so I didn't have to put up with the grueling drives like my dad had to.
Now, tell us about your collegiate career. You had a terrific career at BC, Boston College, the BC Eagles.
Yeah, so I just graduated a month or two ago from Boston College. Loved sailing there for 4 years. Was fortunate to sail with so many great sailors, including my team that we had at the College Match Race Nationals last year. And it was just probably my favorite experience I've ever had was being on that team and competing against everyone else every weekend throughout the college sailing.
Andy, I'm sure, since the GovCup is a resume, you pick the teams based on their resumes. This must have been high on your list to see that Michael and his team had won this event.
Actually, Tom, we do most of them by resume, but there are certain events that the winner of same gets an automatic invitation. So Michael actually earned his way here by having a terrific and winning the Intercollegiate Championship. The other one that is the Rose Cup winner also gets an automatic invitation. But what I was most impressed with there is it's like, with the Rose Cups and the Gov Cups, we tend to know most of the sailors, as they're coming up. But Michael, you came out of nowhere to, at least from our viewpoint, to win that. And in doing so, beat Justin Callahan, who got third in the Gov Cup last year and is, as you know, he was College Sailor of the Year and is one of the most, if not the most accomplished youth sailor in the United States. So how did you get, interested in match racing, and how'd that come about?
Yeah, so the first time I actually got interested in match racing was one of my friends, Hayden Earl, invited me to crew form at the Rose Cup when it was out in Long Beach in the Solings. So I went out there and we had Dave Perry do the clinic, which was amazing because I learned the ins and outs of match racing, and I was doing the bow on the boat. So I was able to just soak all the information in and really see what match racing was all about. And then from there, being from Bayview Yacht Club in Detroit, which hosts a World Match Race Tour event every year called the International Match Race for the Detroit Cup, I was able to pick up the match racing at my club and then start doing more and more events. And I've really loved it ever since.
So what we call, you got the bug.
Yeah.
Once you get it, it's well, I'm still doing it, and I'm slightly older than you. Bayview, I actually sailed in a Canada's Cup trials back there years ago, and that's one of my favorite clubs. The How did you do that? What were the conditions like in the intercollegiates, and how did you do so well in that?
Yeah, so the intercollegiates was sailed out of Sewanaka in Long Island in the sonars. And so the first 2 days were a little bit in puffy, shifty. They set us up right underneath the club, and the wind was coming from there. So it was really puffy, shifty. No lead was ever safe. You really had to protect and make sure you were always sailing the lifted tack. Otherwise, someone could catch up really quickly. And so we stayed normally, I think we stayed just above 500, like 1 or 2 winds above 500 the first day in the first round robin, which advanced us to the gold round, which was the top 6. And then they did a bottom 4 to figure out the next teams going into the quarterfinals. And so then the last day we started the quarterfinals, and we were paired up against Tulane University. And so for the last day, it was a little bit lighter. So they sent us out into the bay a little bit. So it was less puffy, shifty, and more consistent breeze. So we really focused that day on just getting off the line clean and trying to do almost the least amount of match racing we had to, and just try and get the boat going fast in one direction and try and limit our mistakes, which was really cool because we ended up actually going undefeated the final day through the quarters, semis, and finals against Tulane, Stanford, and Brown University.
Yeah,
and it was really awesome.
Stanford,
Wow.
Julia,
Well,
her hair just went up.
Yeah.
You also beat Chapman Peterson from Stanford, who is a former Rose Cup winner. So he's no slouch at that. So you did this against a really good fleet. So even if the fleet wasn't very good, you would have been invited. But in this, because you won. But in this case, it was really top notch, and to do that is great. Let me ask you.
Hey, let me get into the comments for a second, then come back, Andy, because I've got the esteemed Commodore of Long Beach Yacht Club. Speaking of LBYC, Lisa Meyer is saying she looks forward to coming to Balboa Yacht Club next week for the finals with the Ficker Cup invite in hand. Andy, how does that work?
Long Beach Yacht Club is really our parent, if you will. The Governor's Cup was started 2 years after the beginning of the Congressional Cup at Long Beach, which is sort of the grandfather of match racing in the United States and really worldwide as far as annual events. And so Tom Purcell, who's one of my partners in our 50-footer, his parents went to the Congressional Cup as a guest of somebody, and they said, well, we should do something like this for young people, and hence the Governor's Cup was started. They got Ronald Reagan, who you may have heard of, was governor at the time, and he donated the trophy and wrote the deed of gift, and the rest is history.
Nice stuff. Let's wrap up some of your sailing career, and then we got a couple other questions for you, Michael. Your family boat won. What's the name of the boat?
Top Ticket.
Top Ticket won your class 2 weeks ago in the Bayview Mackinac. There's 2 Mackinacs, as most people will know, who've done any offshore sailing, particularly in the Great Lakes. We got a lot of Great Lakes sailors on here watching, but it alternates. One year they start in Detroit at Bayview Yacht Club. They start up actually in Port Huron on Lake Huron, go up to Mackinac, and then the following week, a little bit of time, the following weekend starts the Chicago to Mac, and then the next year they switch, right, and do it Chicago first, then the Bayview Mac, the Detroit Mac, the Port Huron Mac. But every now and then they have the starting in one place to the other, I guess Chicago, and go right on through and sail over to Detroit, a kind of an extended version of that. Right? Have you ever done that?
No, I've never done but they actually, I know they had that this year. They called it the Ultra Mac, where they started in Port Huron and then went all the way through to Chicago.
Andy, have you sailed any of the Mackinac races, the longest freshwater races in the world?
Yeah, I've not actually, because I've done 4 Transpacks and it conflicts. You really can't do both. So I concentrated on that when I was younger. But no, I have not. I've sailed extensively on the lakes and at Bayview Yacht Club and various other places, but have not done a MAC.
Michael, I have to get Andy to come sail at Portage Lake, the little pond that I grew up on. Maybe you can get Andy a ride in the Bayview Mac or the Chicago. Well, Bayview Mac next year. That'd be a good look. I've sailed a lot of miles with Andrew. He's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Michael, but he was a tactician in the 77 America's Cup, the first American. He was so good that the foreign teams, the Australians, wanted him to crew for them. And he was up against Ted Turner and Gary Jobson and lifted their game a lot. And, of course, ultimately that Australian team won in 83, won the Cup and ended New York Yacht Club's 132 years. Here's a Stanford word, guys. 132 years of, Julia, hegemony.
Hegemony.
Hegemony, Andrew.
Yeah. Good. Well, Michael, just to make it clear, I only sailed for Australia once. And then Tom Eamon wrote a rule, so I couldn't anymore.
It's one of the first things I was tasked to do when I got involved in Newport, Rhode Island, was to write what I still call, and some people still call, the Rosé rule, because Andy's nickname in the America's Cup was not Rose, it was Rosé. I don't suppose he drank any Rosé wine, but one never knows.
Not then, but now.
Yeah. No, but one, just to wrap this up, Michael, we'll let you go because I know you're a busy boy getting ready for GovCup. And I no doubt have an interesting weekend ahead of practice and whatever. But you guys in your boat, your family boat, were the class winners in the Bayview Mac 2 weeks ago. And then you sailed in the Chicago Mac. Didn't do quite so well on hot ticket.
No, didn't do quite so well. Finished about, I think, 6th in our class, but still enjoyed the trip up the lake. It's beautiful when you can go up the coastline of Michigan looking at all the sand dunes. It's something not a lot of people would think when you think of Michigan. Like, the water's almost as clear as like the Caribbean and stuff like that. So definitely something to check out.
A quick question from Jody Shields, who's a superb sailor, and he sailed everything from big boats to small boats, and a commentator and a regular on here. He's in Australia, north of Sydney and Wangi.
Michael, be careful how you answer this question.
He's saying, interested in Michael's views on the foiling part of sailing. Seems he loves the lead bellies.
Yeah, I mean, foiling's definitely pretty cool, but I'm a fan of close, tight racing, like the old America's Cups, and I like sailing big monohulls.
Right answer, Julia.
We should have a buzzer. Right answer.
You'll get it in. How old are you? Do you have another year or two in GovCup, Michael?
Oh, this is it. This is an offer.
Oh, okay. You better win it this year. Jody did Andy Dolly DeVola down in Australia is another regular superb sailor. Jody did the Big Mac apparently at one point. I think he's talking about the sandwich, not the mac. Racist. Okay. Anything else from Andrew to Michael, or Michael, anything else to say before we let Michael go?
Have a good flight out, and we look forward to seeing you. I feel like we've now met in person, but we'll look forward to seeing you Tuesday. And I try to be nice to the newbies on Monday night or Tuesday night, but sometimes I forget.
Yeah,
sounds good. I'm excited to come and really looking forward to the event. I've only ever heard great things about it, so I'm glad I get to do it at least once.
But
I think you'll enjoy it.
I think you should prepare for Thursday or for Tuesday night, because Andy's going to have you up on stage paired with, he puts two teams up there together. Like we said, he'll have Morgan and Justin up there together from Harvard or from Yale and Harvard. And I don't know who he doesn't do that till Monday morning. And I always am bugging him, Andrew, please tell me who's going to be paired, because I have to go prepare the television, the lower thirds, and get the order ready and so on. But he's going to pair you with somebody, but you need to come ready based on this with a clever comment about Andy and Stanford, and say, if you want to say something nice about Michigan, you'll also get points.
And if you talk nice about Stanford, I'll give you points.
Yeah, you'll get points from Andrew. Okay, Michael, thank you very much. Andy, you can stay with us.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to run this video. Michael, thank you very much for joining us. Terrific getting to know you a bit. And we'll see you next Monday or Tuesday in Newport Beach.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed.
Our pleasure. Okay, what a great group.
Oh, it is.
It's just fantastic. And we're going to roll right into this next tape. This morning, because they're over in Gdynia, which is plus 9 hours to us, and they texted me this morning and said, could we do it an hour and a half earlier, Julia, which is when I called you and said, don't make any noise upstairs in the Commodore suite, because I'm going to have these guys on live to tape. And it was fun. And all three of them, we had some Wi-Fi problems ultimately with Morgan and Justin. Justin's phone, he was doing it on his phone on the beach, but he ran out of power. But here's the video that I shot with them a couple hours ago. Justin Callahan, Josh Hyde, and Morgan Pinckney. Andy, you want to say anything in prep about these three before I roll the tape?
Well, Josh is sort of the current rock star from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Club, or I'm sorry, Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, and has won a lot of events in Australia and New Zealand, and was fourth here last year. Justin got third. He got fourth in his first one, and then third last year. And I think is looking to try to knock off Cole, and certainly, has the potential to do that. Morgan is a awesome sailor in all sorts of things. Anything he touches, he seems to do well with. He's a lot of fun too. He's fun to sail with, and looking forward to having him back. But any one of those three could win this thing. There are some other teams that could win it. Michael, etc. So this should be quite a series.
Okay, before I roll that tape, Alan Long is saying, and he's back and forth between Texas and Cleveland. So he says, good luck, Michael, for the flyover part of the country. Chris Exley saying that. And Chris is a superb sailor, as you know, Andy and Julia. That man is pure gold. So that was nice to see. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing here, Mark Holland, good, best of luck, Michael. I said, Ed Worley, how refreshing to talk to sailors about a regatta with no corporate speak or sponsors to plug.
Well said.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Well said.
A bunch of other comments. Murray Joslin, go Eagles. Somebody else went to BC, it looks like. Magnus Wheatley, Magnus the Magnificent from the UK. What a great show. Brilliant, terrific guests. Thank you, Magnus, for that. Let's get to this video with these three who are at the Youth Match Racing World Championship in Gdynia, Poland, live to tape from a couple hours ago. Back in the 57th Governor's Cup last year, 2024, Josh Hyde, Justin Callahan, Morgan Pinckney were all in the hunt. And I have all three of them live from Gdynia, Poland, where they're racing in the World Sailing's Youth Match Racing Championship. It's late for them in their evening, having a long day on the water. Gentlemen, thanks very much for coming on. Justin, how's it in Gdynia?
Yeah, Gdynia's great. We've had 3 days of racing so far with 2 days of practice. We've had relatively light winds for most of the regatta. Yesterday, in the afternoon, we got around 16, 17 knots and jib up, planing conditions. So we've seen a variety of conditions in these boats, and we've really been enjoying it out here. It's been great competition and a lot of fun.
Josh, is this your first World Championship, the World Sailing Youth Worlds match racing?
No, this is my second one skippering and my third one where I was a main for the Canadian team in 2023.
Were you in Jeddah last year, Josh?
I was.
Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit about that as we get through GovCup week because, of course, Cole Tapper won that, and he's the defending GovCup champ. Morgan, you've had a long day on the water. Great to have you with us as well. How was your regatta so far?
Oh, it's just been a great learning experience. These boats are really different than any other boat I've sailed before, so we're just kind of putting stuff together and waiting to be ready.
Well, I appreciate all three of you coming on. As I said, last year in the GovCup, the 57th GovCup in 2024, Cole Tapper won. Jeffrey's aged out, Jeffrey Peterson. But Justin, Josh, and Morgan all were in the hunt last year, and they're back for this year's 58th Governor's Cup, but we're catching up with them in Gdynia, Poland, where they're racing in the Youth Match Racing World Championship. And it's being raced in RS-21 keelboats. And it continues through this Sunday, the 27th, when they will be then flying back to Newport Beach, all three of them. And there's another, who else is there? Someone else is coming to GovCup from the...
Theo Westerland.
Say again?
Theo Westerland.
Theo Westerland is there from Sweden. So you're all flying back on Monday, I guess, from Poland, and you get to, when do you get to GovCup? You get to Newport Beach on Monday night?
Yeah, we land sometime midday on Monday and go right into practice.
And that's why GovCup, of course, is being delayed by one day this year, because normally it starts on a Tuesday night, normally starts with a Monday night, Meet the Teams that Andy Rose hosts, but this year it'll start on Tuesday so the guys that are in Gdynia can get back. Speaking of Gdynia, the results are mixed for our gang here. Justin, how are these French guys doing? They look like they're dominating, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, the French guys have been pretty good. We've had good battles with them. The good boat handling, good speed. But my team and I were talking, and we really found that anyone can beat anyone. We've had tough competition in almost every race, and it really comes down at the end of the day to how well you can handle these boats in this mostly light air. And we've really taken a liking to these boats, and as Morgan said earlier, really appreciate the learning curve. And we'll continue to see what happens over the next 2 days, but it's been pretty good so far.
Hey, Josh, what's the format from here? You've been in the round robin phase. Is this a double round robin? Or is this, I guess, just a single round robin, isn't it? Then what do you go to, quarters, semis, and finals?
Unfortunately, it's just a single round robin because we have 16 teams and it's taken us 3 days to get through the round robin itself. So next step is quarters, semis, and finals.
Okay. And Morgan, do you like that format, or would you prefer just a double round robin like we do in GovCup and then get to the semis and finals?
Yeah, I mean, I think with this many teams, it's almost impossible to do a double round robin. So I think my ideal format would be a bit smaller and end up doing a full double round robin.
Okay, well, let's talk about each of your individual sailing careers, because you all have stellar careers already at your young age. And this year for you, particularly, Justin, sailing for the Harvard sailing team. I know you're from Florida originally. What is it? Key Biscayne Yacht Club is your home club?
Biscayne Bay Yacht Club is what we're sailing for.
And you're sailing, though, lately for Harvard, and congratulations, because you were this year's College Sailor of the Year at Harvard. And then I note that just last week you were sailing in Long Beach at the Long Beach Olympic Classes Regatta in the 470 class and took gold, took the top of that co-ed or mixed doubles class. That's an Olympic class, of course. Have you had a lot of experience in the 470?
No, not a lot of experience at all. Before that regatta, we had about 6 days of practice total together, just training. And like kind of any regatta you do or any practice you do, the learning curve accelerates as you go. And it was a lot of fun to do that last week in Long Beach, and we had a lot of fun with it. And we'll see what happens in the future. But we had a great regatta and a lot of fun sailing out in Long Beach. I mean, it's a beautiful place to sail. You get 15 knots every day, and we're looking forward to going back for more soon.
So are you going to continue campaigning the 470 for the 2028 Olympics?
I think it's looking likely at that moment. We'll see at the end of the summer, but definitely we're on that trajectory right now. I've been really appreciative of everyone in the 470 class, especially Stu McNay, that's been helping me get up to speed into the 470 class and just trying to integrate myself. And it's been a lot of fun so far. So I'm not committing to anything quite yet, but it's definitely trending towards that way. Looking to represent the U.S. in LA in 2028, and that'd be something that's super exciting for me and for my family and for the country. And I always love representing the United States on the biggest and best stage in sailing. So it would be a huge honor to do that.
Well, you will be on the big stage of the Governor's Cup next week. Josh, you've had a hell of a career, in particular in the last year or so. we look at some of your slides. I think we first met at the GovCup a couple of years ago, the 56th GovCup. I think you were 9th, so it wasn't out of the 12 teams. It wasn't a terrific performance, but you've really come on strong, particularly in match racing since. As I understand it, you've won your White Armada racing team representing the RNZ, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. You won last year both the Hardy Cup over in Australia and the Youth International Cup, which is a big event in New Zealand hosted by the RNZ. And you won that again, if according to my search online here in the last 24 hours, you won it again this year, another Youth International Match Racing Championship. Congratulations. And what do you think your prospects are this year at Governor's Cup?
Oh, thank you very much. We've had so far this year, we've had a pretty strong effort in the Oceania range. I think this regatta especially has pushed us quite hard, and it's been a tough event for us. But I think looking forward to Governor's Cup with the experience that we have, it's going to really allow us to push quite hard and give a lot of, especially, I imagine, some of your favorite teams a little run for their money. So it'll be exciting to see how that goes.
Josh, my favorite team is 16-year-old, soon to be 17-year-old Sienna Nichols. But other than that, I am very fond of all you guys. I think we've lost Josh. I know his phone was, I see his picture is frozen up, but he's had a hell of a career, and he told us, guys, that he was about to lose his battery on the beach there. And so, Josh, we'll see you on Tuesday in Newport Beach. Thanks for joining. And meanwhile, Morgan, likewise, I've known you for some time, you being a Newport, and I'm at Balboa Yacht Club as a member, but you're often there, and I'm over at your club, Newport Harbor Yacht Club, a lot. I remember in 2022 when you won the Rose Cup, the U.S. Youth Match Racing Championship, the national championship, with a superbly good crew at Long Beach Yacht Club. We covered that live, if I remember well, television-wise. And then you've had, 3 or 4 Gov Cups now, including 2 third-place finishes. How are you going to do this year?
Actually, I believe this is my 5th Gov Cup.
5th?
And, anywhere but 3rd, anywhere on that podium, hopefully 1st or 2nd. But we have a lot of experience. We have a good team, and we've had some hours training together. So I'm very hopeful for this year. I'm feeling good.
And like Justin Callahan, you have also had a superb collegiate career. You are going what, Morgan? You're going into your junior year at Yale?
Yeah, correct.
And Justin, you're going into your senior year, or are you also a junior?
I will be going into my senior year.
Yeah, so you're a year ahead of Morgan. But I know that, Morgan, your Yale team won the match race national champs. Did you drive for that, for the team for that event?
We didn't actually end up winning match racing this year, and I drove 2 years ago, and we ended up getting 3rd there as well.
So how'd you do in this year's match race nationals, the collegiate?
I ended up actually not participating in that one.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, that's so much for Chat GPT when I did the search on that. But you also well known as a water sports guy in and around Newport Beach and beyond. What is your attraction to not only sailing, but to surfing and fishing? And do you think that helps your sailing career?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have it in my blood. I was named Morgan because our family's Welsh, and in Welsh, Morgan means fighter of the sea, or sea dweller. So growing up, I was just always in love with the water. And for me, I think they're completely intertwined. Every day I'm surfing or I'm fishing. And when you're fishing, you're reading the wind and where that pushes the fish and what the current's doing. And that applies to sailing. And then with surfing, obviously, it's pretty much a no-brainer. You surf downwind every time you're sailing. So I think there's a huge crossover between all of them. And I love them all equally. So every day I'm in the water. Doesn't matter what discipline I'm doing, but I'm in it.
Well, that's cool. It's nice. And I remember the time that you swam out from the beach. You were going to come do some commentary with Andy and Matt Whitfield and myself on the commentary boat. And you said, yeah, I'll get out there. And you came out on your surfboard, I think, and then we changed your shirt and you came on the commentary couch with us and it carried on. And then when it was all done, instead of going back on the boat, you jumped off the back end of Adios and swam back to Newport Beach. You remember that?
Oh yeah, it's a phenomenal lifestyle in Southern California. That was a great day. I was just surfing. There's a great south swell. Had like a 3 or 4 hour morning session. Went in to go grab lunch, and I see Andy texting me. He's like, "Hey, are you around? Do you want to come commentate on the boat for Gov or Worlds?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got out of the water. I don't know if I can. Like, I don't have a boat to get out there, but I'm sure I could make a paddle or a swim." And he's like, "Yeah, come do it." So got to sit on the back of the boat and enjoy some premier racing.
Yeah, well, that was great. Both of you, you have to think that Cole Tapper, who won last year's GovCup and has won the World Youth Match Racing Championship, in the meantime sailed in the Youth America's Cup. He's got to be probably the top team going into this year's 58th GovCup. Who do you think has the best chance of beating him? Justin, are you going to beat him?
I mean, that's always the goal. That's always the goal, Tom. I don't think that. I mean, I always believe in ourselves, so I think we have a great chance to take the top spot. But I think, especially as we've seen in this regatta, anyone can take races off anyone, and that's the beauty of match racing. You're either first or last, and if you come out swinging and you put a bunch of wins on the board, you'll end up on the top spot. And I think that it can be anyone's regatta, and we're ready to fight with anyone.
Morgan, is this your year to get out of that third place? Did we lose Morgan? He looks frozen there on the screen.
Yeah.
He was having Wi-Fi problems too when we were doing the tech check. Okay, well, Morgan Pinckney, who's had a couple third places in the GovCup, I think we're going to see stellar performances from all three of these guys. Thank you very much, Justin, for coming on. And thanks also to Josh and Morgan, who joined us before we lost them on the Wi-Fi in Gdynia, Poland. It's going to be a hell of an event next week. We'll look forward to it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tom. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you when we get to LA.
Okay, Andrew, what's your reaction to all that? These three gentlemen, superb guys, Justin Callahan, Josh Hyde, Morgan Pinckney, live to tape from Gdynia earlier today. What's your reaction, Andrew?
Well, I think first, interestingly, it looked to me like in looking at the standings that Josh did not make the quarterfinals. So I think that's what he meant when he said we're not terribly, that we've learned a lot, but didn't have a great week. But the other two did, so that'll be interesting. They both still have a chance to win the Worlds, which would be quite a feat. But the boats, the RS-21s, are very different than the Governor's Cup 22s, so I can understand, especially in light air, they're probably a little bit difficult to sail. But all three of those guys, any one of the three of them could win. And the advantage that the three of them have, along with a couple other sailors in this fleet, is that they have sailed the Governor's Cup 22s and they have done the Governor's Cup. And, that's somewhat of an advantage. Nothing will be new to them in that respect, so they can focus on tactics and boat speed.
Yeah, good point, as usual. The comments are rolling in here. Steve Gruber is giving some advice to the kids in Gdynia, and having lived in Europe for 20 years and flown all over the world, I think this is particularly good advice. He's saying to all the competitors coming from Poland, do yourself a favor and set your watch to California time as soon as you get on the plane, then start trying to be asleep. I take a melatonin and a glass of wine, or used to, and awake at the appropriate times when possible. It really helps me reduce jet lag. I don't know. I just get on the plane, go to sleep, and sleep as long as I can. What's your, Andy, what's your secret to beating jet lag?
Well, finally going to work for a living and making enough money to fly in lie-flat business class seats. That's my, that's the best, that's the best way to do it. I suffered back then from jet lag quite a bit, but I never had this kind of schedule. When I would fly to Australia back in the day, it took 3 flights. You had to stop twice to get there, and I never had to start racing the next day. And I think that's the key here, which is unfortunate. As I said, this has happened once before, and it's tougher. I mean, you want to start the series with feeling healthy and strong and all that kind of thing. And these are very fit young sailors, but it's got to affect you. The good news is it's a double round robin, and we have seen many times, Tom, as you know, we've seen many times that some teams will start losing 3 on the first day or 4 on the first day and come back and get into the semifinals. The record is, I think, to get into the semifinals, we had a very closely matched fleet, and they lost 7 races in the double round robin, and still got in the semis. So, you know, I think they'll be okay. I just wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I see Jack Freewind has joined us. He's coming on with Cole Tapper in a few minutes. Jack, welcome to you. We'll get back to you in a second. Speaking of other
Tom, hi, Andy.
Aussies, hello, Jack. I'm just waiting for your 2 colleagues to sign on, and we'll do a couple one other segment here anyway. But I just want to go back to the comments. Christiane Price, who you must know, Jack, and Andrew and I certainly do. She's sending hugs and kisses to you, Andy. Hello, all the lovelies on here today. She, of course, the mother of the esteemed Harry Price. Andy, how many times did Harry Price win the GovCup?
Twice,
right?
Yep.
So we got Cole Tapper vying to win it a second time this year. Andrew, Dolly DeVola, whom, Jack, you must know, Dolly DeVola saying in the comments, refreshing to hear such confident and well-spoken young people.
Tom, as you know, I call this my second Christmas week every year, and that's the reason. These young sailors inspire me. They are articulate, they're fun, they're great sailors, and a credit to their clubs and their countries. And so I'm, you know, this is, again, I'm looking forward to next week, my second Christmas week, because we have about 40 of them here.
Indeed. And back in the comments again, and then I see now we've got the rest of the gang on. Hello, Cole. Hello, Hamish. Get to you all in a sec. Jody Shields, another Aussie down there in Wanji, saying the best way to beat jet lag is to stay on holiday. Paul Callahan, the father of Justin Callahan, is saying greetings from Harbor Court in Newport. And the New York Yacht Club is having its annual cruise starting here in the next day or so. Rob Fry. Julia, remember who Rob Fry is?
Yes.
That is Leo Takahashi's dad. Checking in. He's saying, hi, Andy. Nice to have
Hello there.
Yeah, and Rob's off and on here, Andy, so it's nice to see him on here. We get Leonard on here as well. Leonard had a good go. They did. The New Zealand team won, as you know, Julia. They won at Portsmouth last weekend in the Sail GP. John Schaefer is saying it looks like someone went to the Jimmy Spithill press conference training. Excuse me. Hey, guys, I'm going to run John Emmett's segment, and that'll give us a chance while John's video is running, a chance to get your stuff all dialed in here, and then we'll get to you, if that's okay. You're up and at 'em very early in the morning. Cole Tapper and Hamish and Jack, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll be back to you in a sec. Andy, anything else on those 3 guys on that video that we just saw?
No, I think they're, you know, again, they're everything that your comments said. They're well spoken, and all 3 will be tough. You know, they are not the race against each of them for each of the others, and these people on the screen now are going to be amazing. I look forward to it.
I think you would agree, Julia, that in fact I did the talk back with you and Andy while we were watching that video, that Justin Callahan could be the next Secretary of State, or he could be a good foreign minister for some guy. He's so diplomatic. Yes. Don't you think, Andy?
Yeah, he is indeed. And hello to Paul. I'm glad Paul's watching.
Indeed.
But, it's a great family.
It is, and it's a great sport, our beloved sport. And we watch these, we call them kids because relative to Julia and Andy, myself, they are. But they give us great confidence, don't they, Julia, in the future?
Oh, absolutely.
Not only the sport, but of life in general.
Absolutely.
Okay. Speaking of cool guys, let's do John Emmett's regular coaching corner. He is, they got a busy time going on in Weymouth right now, and he sent 2 reports, one of which I'll run at the end of the show in the Admiral's Cup segment. But the coaching corner with Super Fozy John Emmett.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. I'm here in a very, very busy Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy boat park at the Wasp Games. So as promised, I thought I'd better do a couple of coaching corners because, well, you know, news needs to be new, and by the time you get this, the Wasp Games will be finished up. I can tell you that the media here, which is Sail Jow Under and Jordo and a whole load of people, have done an absolutely amazing job just doing the content as quickly as they can. And I can tell you from the WhatsApp groups, they've had some very, very late nights just trying to get that content out and keep it as new as possible. So with the various other things coming, I thought we should talk about the WASPs sooner rather than later. And it's a really important class. Now, there's always in my mind going to be a place for the water pushers. And that is probably more in 20, 30 years time, you know, getting people introduced to the sport, but also for that high-end boat-on-boat, things like the match racing. But foiling is definitely here to stay. And in terms of foiling, I think the WAFS does an incredibly good job of making a pathway. And the reason that's so important is because how do you get to that really top end, that America's Cup, those AC75s, to those F50s, which again, amazing boats, but it's a huge jump. And when I look now at arguably the very best sailors in the world, you've got people like Paul Goodison, Tom Slingsby, Pete Burling, you know, they've come from lasers, or as it's called now, Ilkas. They've come from 470s, and they're in these amazing boats, but you need that pathway. And it's also, and this is my big thing about making sailing inclusive, which is youth, power, and women's sailing, to make it accessible, because the Moth is a real showcase of the very best single-handed flying sailors in the world, but the accessibility is a problem. I mean, I guess in American money, you're talking $100,000 to do a campaign. Now, of course, I'm not saying the WASP is cheap, but it is the most accessible route. We do need these pathways, and I did a little interview with Tom Slingsby, and you know, they will be looking at the results of events like this to try and see where that talent is coming from in the future. And it's, you know, it's an amazing class. There's approximately 250 boats, flying boats here, and for me, what's very interesting is if I look around the boat park, it's quite a young class. You know, I'm certainly, as I walk around the boat park here, unlike a Masters event where I'm probably bringing the average age down, here I'm definitely bringing the average age up. And I think, you know, those people, those young people now, foiling is much more part of the culture, because we all like what we grew up with. And I think with the foiling, the younger generation, it's absolutely expected. So 250 boats, I think, probably speaks for itself. And I don't actually, you know, see classes so much in competition. It's just another way to get on the water. And actually walking around the boat park, I know quite a few of the sailors here also sail Ilka 4s, Ilka 6s, etc. But the WASP provides this pathway. And one of the things with the racing is that it's a one design boat. So there isn't the chance for, in the old days, we were called the checkbook sailing, because everybody has the same equipment. And just like the laser or the Ilka, there's been small changes. They've updated the foils, etc., just, you know, to keep up with the technologies that they can have and make it easy to launch. Nice thing, especially for Lily, the boat comes on a trolley, like a more traditional dinghy, which can make it much easier to launch. And it's been no mean feat to get 250 boats on and off the water. I've been here doing some Ilka coaching, etc. And crikey, if you turn up at the ramp at the wrong time, there's a big queue to get on because they have to sort of swim in and swim out. But yeah, it's anyone who's thinking about the pathway. I've said one of the routes I really like is the wings. That's something that you can travel with very easily. In terms of dinghies, I think it's pretty clear that the WASP has put itself as that pathway class. So I think it's probably time for those people to come and join the swarm. Do check out all the content that I've put out. There's been some really nice interviews, and I'm sure a lot of the people who perform well here are going to be names to look out for in the future. If you haven't done so already, please like, share and subscribe. Sailing Illustrated is the only live sailing show that we have, and the comments always very welcome. Just remember to sail fast, sail safe, and keep having lots of fun. See you later.
John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet from Weymouth. Castle Cove Sailing Club today, where they got a lot on. Of course, all across southern UK, they got a lot on because the Admiral's Cup
That's right.
has been going on. And the Fastnet race, Julia, starts tomorrow. We always say at the end of John's segment about how important it is, we think, to get parasailing reinstated for Brisbane 2032. A lot of effort being done in Australia on that score. Good job by Australian Sailing, Alistair Murray, and his successor as president, and Bravo Zulu. And by the way, I just want to make a note that this Danny Peach did do his blind round the Isle of Wight sail. He finished, I guess, yesterday, did it all yesterday in some 13 hours. History was made, according to Magnus the Magnificent, who is on here. And I commend to you his piece on his Rule 69 blog today on Substack. I'm just going to show you another picture as Danny Peach was finishing in that boat native to Barcelona. And Magnus and a lot of other people were helping him get around. He's totally blind. He's not partially sighted. And Danny came to Magnus in March with a dream, and with the support of Grant Dalton and his Yes We Sail Foundation's backing, they made that dream happen, all of us. And what Danny has done in advance is advance parasailing and the initiative to get sailing back into the Paralympic Games for Brisbane 2032 by proving that nothing is impossible. I saw Everest climb yesterday, Magnus says, and our sport go forward. It was a privilege, an utter privilege. That's Magnus writing on his Rule 69 blog on Substack today. So bravo Zulu to them. We said we had an AAAA, and we do. From one of the most beautiful corners of the world, we've got a report from none other than the former president, esteemed past president of Australian Sailing. I thought Cole and his crew would enjoy this, hearing from Alistair Murray. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote, and talk about family sailing and the great aspects of our sport. He was sailing at Garda with his daughter Claire, and they didn't finish. She hurt herself, but they had a pretty good regatta. Ended up in the middle of the 33 boats, I believe, and she hurt herself, so they couldn't race the last couple. But they did quite well nonetheless, including leading this race at beautiful Lake Garda. Here's his video, AAAA, for today.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosie. This is Alistair with AAAA. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote here from Lake Garda. Look, I've already sent you a report of the Tazo World, so I thought I'd make this a little bit different. But just to recap, suffice to say, this is absolutely the best place I have ever sailed in my life, and I've been sailing for 60 years. It is a sailing mecca, an amazing place. We have had a fantastic regatta here. Bit of an unfortunate ending with an injury to my daughter and crew, Claire. We were in the running for a top 10 spot, and we've had to include 2 DNCs and an OCS in our timeline, but we still finished top half, so pretty happy with that. Anyway, that's the regatta recap. You've heard from Nick Craig in yesterday's show. I thought I'd make this a little bit different and make this a Fosie focus, or fuckus as you like to call it, Tom. I know you like to feature different people, and I thought I'd introduce you to somebody that I know the Fosie would enjoy meeting. So, camera right, Tracy, over to my daughter, and crew, Claire. So Claire hurt herself in sailing. How are you feeling, Dale?
Pretty stiff. Not the usual marketing stiff. The bruised and battered stiff. So I will cover though.
Yeah. And we did have a good regatta, even though the results didn't pan out. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, we had a great regatta. I think these were really our conditions, so that was really nice. Particularly as we do well in a breeze, and we're a bit heavy. So as the days progress, sorry, Dad's a bit heavy, and as the days progressed and everyone got really tired, it really worked in our favour. So it was great.
Anyway, this is a Fosie focus. This isn't about the regatta, so we're here to talk to you about you, Claire, because I know they'd like to meet you. So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a postgraduate student at the University of Melbourne in theatre design, so I'm in costume and set. It's a bit of a midlife career change for me. I previously worked in sailing, so I did a media degree, and then I worked for what was Yachting Victoria for a little bit, then Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron as their communications manager, before moving on to Australian Sailing, where I was for about 4 years, doing all their conferences nationally, as well as working with all our fabulous Victorian clubs, awards, that sort of thing, and also helping cover our wonderful Olympians, all our Australian sailing team. So I had a wonderful time there.
Not sure if I was the boss at the time.
You were not. Yeah. Oh, there might have been a bit of crossover if you were on the board, but you weren't the president while I was there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And the family?
Family, I met my husband 20 years ago at a Tazo Worlds. So we're coming up on 20 years next month or the month after. We had a daughter who's 9. She's the love of our life. And
The love of my life?
Yeah, the love of your life. And we are really excited this summer to get her into the cadets, into the international cadets down at Sandringham, because I think she's the kind of kid that she loves sailing, but she really wants that social aspect.
Yeah.
So we need to find a really cool older kid to draw her into the class, because I don't think single-handed is going to be for her. She wants that social aspect a lot more. So we're looking forward to the international cadet community. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And so tell us about your own sailing. How long have you been sailing?
I'm 38, so probably
You're that old.
34 years. Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, I know, that happened pretty quickly. It felt like a long time for me. I don't know, I began sailing just on Dad's keelboat as a kid, just being out on the 11 metre in San Francisco.
That's right.
And then when we moved to Australia, I trained in Sabos. And then when I was a teenager, I moved into the Taser with you. As a young adult, did a bit of match racing at Sandy, which I really loved. Yeah, and just have really enjoyed sailing the keelboat with you over the years and the Taser. So yeah, that's sort of it. Yeah.
This is our 25th anniversary of sailing the Taser together.
It is. Yes, it is. So.
And
no,
what does sailing mean to you, Claire?
I think it's just a really special family thing, and I just love the community. Yeah, I just love the people.
Yeah, Jonathan McKee made a really good speech the other night after getting his second place in the Worlds, and he talked about how much the Taser community was family.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
he?
thought that was. He gave a really nice speech. So
Yeah.
I think it's really special that we get to sail together after all these years, and bring the family along, and hopefully we'll be doing that for more Taser events and then more junior events in the future as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tracy's giving us the wind up. She's our camera lady.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to introduce Claire to the Fosey, and let me just say that sailing is such an extraordinary sport, and the greatest pleasure that I've had out of it over the last 60 years of my sailing career has been sailing with my daughter Claire.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't normally end up the AAAAs with a hug and a kiss, but in this case we can do.
You got to be gentle with me. Yeah. I'm very sore. Bye.
Cheers, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosey. Bye.
Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. I thought if nothing else it would inspire Cole and Jack and Hamish. Of course, I'm not sure what country Jack's from, but we'll talk about that as well. They are standing by with Andy, and we'll get to them in a second. Thank you, Mr. President Emeritus of Australian Sailing, Alistair Murray, with his Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for today, our show number 852. We'll do a show next Tuesday down in Newport Beach with Christine Gribben, and then we will be off the rest of next week because we're doing GovCup shows.
You'll be
9
on.
shows, Julia, in 10 days, 10 shows rather in 6 days, counting our Tuesday show. Jody Shields, now that's what our sport is all about. Yeah, I agree. I love Alistair's stuff and family-oriented. That's what this show is about. Yacht racing news, views, and notables. And speaking of notables, we've got quite a crowd on here now. Not only the GovCup guru, as he hates me calling him that, but he's won the GovCup a couple times, Congressional Cup, and a lot of other things. Andy Rose, our longtime friend, and he will help interview, if not do the primary of the heavy lifting here with Cole Tapper on the lower right, and Hamish Voss on the lower left, and Jack Freeman in the upper right, the Hollywood squares of Sailing Illustrated. Gentlemen, welcome to all of you. Cole, let's start with you. Thank you for getting up at 0700. You've had a hell of a year. Are these 3 guys been with you in all these other wins, and are they coming back, presumably, to GovCup?
Yeah, well, since basically 2023, I think we sailed our first regatta together. We teamed up to do Govs, actually. Back then, I did it 1 year by myself. The first year was 2022 with my brother Finn and George, another guy that I sail with. And then we teamed up in 2023 and knew that we had a bit of runway to sail together. And it actually went really well off the bat. So we were super stoked, and then have kind of raced together in every major regatta we've done since. And well, more specifically, Hamish and I have probably been sailing together since
2021.
Yeah, or even sooner, because we went to school together. But then we brought Fruin into the ranks, and he's been a really good addition. So it's been a lot of fun.
Is it true he's a Kiwi?
No, it's that other guy.
Who's the Kiwi?
Yes, that's me, Tom.
I thought you
I
were
call
a
myself
Kiwi.
an honorary Aussie.
Yeah, it's good, Jack. So am I.
That is a slide from our show number 535, Julia, 300 plus shows ago in July of 2022 when we were featuring Cole Tapper. And I guess when the first time we met you, Cole, because you came on the show for Road to the then 2022 GovCup. But in the meantime, the three of you have won the Governor's Cup last year's, ending Jeffrey Peterson's attempt at a three-peat. And Jeffrey had won the two previous ones, and you handled him pretty well. It was a close final, but nonetheless, you handled him. Jack there on the left, Hamish Voss. You say Voss, Vass? How do you pronounce it, Hamish?
Tom, we've had this discussion on water as well. It's Vass, like your derriere.
Like your derriere. Excuse me, I'm going to die laughing here. Hamish Vass, don't call me Voss. I try to make everything into a Romance language, a Spanish or an Italian word. Jack Freeman, of course, who I do have in the lower third there as a Kiwi. Where are you living now, Jack?
I'm living in Auckland still. So just come over for training camps with the boys.
Wow, that's a lot of commuting. Are you in Auckland?
Yeah, it is.
Are you in Auckland now?
No, I'm actually in Adelaide right now.
Oh, you get around. I don't get around much anymore.
Yeah.
Well, these guys have had a phenomenal year, not only winning the 2024 GovCup, but then you, Cole, were the head of the Australian Youth America's Cup team, and here pictured with another Fosie, speaking of Christiane Price, who's on watching, but that is, of course, our Fosie, Olivia Price, who's been on the show, I don't know, Julia, what, 3-4 times?
Yes, at least.
Superb sailor, great sailing family, real good friends of ours, and bravo Zulu, because you both had good runs in Barcelona. Christiane Price is saying, Cole, the hair, where Andy's going to get to that in a minute. There's Cole's normal hair in that they are at the 2024 Australia. They were the respective heads of the youth and women's AC teams. Fosie's Cole, Friends of Sailing Illustrated, of course, Cole Tapper and Olivia Price. There is Cole and Co.'s boat in Barcelona, where they were 5th out of 12. If I think ChatGPT failed me earlier. I hope that's right, guys. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, I had Morgan. The ChatGPT told me that Yale had won the U.S. Collegiate Match Racing Championship, and that turns out, Julia, not to be true. Andy, not to be true. Andy knew it. He was going, how could Tom?
2 years ago, I tried ChatGPT just for fun with Jeffrey Peterson and myself, and it turned out Jeffrey is a retired professional sailor, the former Rolex Yachtsman of the Year, and I'm evidently still active, but of course I also was a Rolex Yachtsman of the Year, so I like that version better. They've corrected it now.
We won't hold any of that Chat GPT stuff against anybody as long as you won't hold it against me. But guys, nonetheless, you've had a fabulous year, and then of course you went to Jeddah, Cole, you did, and here you are. Is that all three of you, I guess? Is that right?
Yeah.
All three of you in Jeddah. Who are the other two?
That's Chelsea Williams and Joel Bieshel, who are two other great sailors from our club.
Is that a Colin Bieshel relative?
Yeah.
It's his nephew.
Yeah, nephew.
All right.
Yeah.
His dad's Adam.
Andy?
Colin's an old mate.
Yep, and of mine as well. But you won the Youth Worlds. That's what's going on in Gdynia right now, the tape that we played a few minutes ago. But the Youth World Match Race Championship in Jeddah. How was Jeddah as a place to sail?
As a place to sail, it was actually, the conditions were spectacular. I mean, we had 16 knots pretty much every day and lovely warm water. And one thing that was a bit different was there was some serious chop. I don't know, you might have seen some of the racing from the preliminary regattas in the America's Cup last year, and those boats were struggling in the chop, and we were sailing Far East 28 hours, and it made covering quite different over there because if you tacked in a bad set of waves, you get rolled to leeward and all sorts of stuff. So us coming from sailing in Sydney Harbour quite a lot, it was quite a new experience match racing in such big waves, but it was really fun to surf downwind, I'll tell you that.
Now, you must be one of the first, if not only people, Andy has better facts and figures probably than I, but you have also said not only you won GovCup and you've won the World Match Racing, Youth Match Racing Championship, but you sailed in Congressional Cup this year and finished, again, according to ChatGPT, third. Is that right?
Yeah, ChatGPT is going all right so far, Tom. That's right.
Tell us. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a great regatta this year at Congressional Cup. We did our first one last year and finished up 8th. And to be honest, we were just like learning so much. The Catalina 37s, when you compare it to a GovCup 22, I mean, they're kind of the two opposite ends of the spectrum. So one's really small and sporty, and the other's a massive sort of tank that's built to it's just the heaviest boat in the world. So it's really different for how we set up, but it was pretty cool to do a big lead up to that event. And then I think when we came home and jumped back in an Elliott, I felt like I had sort of lost a lot of finer skill because everyone was just going so quick, and the pre-start sort of felt like it lasted about 15 minutes now because so much was happening.
Andy, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I always said about the Catalina 37s that, okay, ready to tack, and you turn the helm, and later that same day you complete the tack.
Well, you had a great Congressional Cup, and I don't know anyone else that maybe Andy does. Anyone besides yourself, Andy, who's won GovCup and Congressional Cup, there must be one or two others, but also have won the World Match Racing, Youth Match Racing Championship.
Yeah, the Worlds is a relatively new event. It's about 14 years old now, and we're 58. But we always said the progression used to be back in the day, and it's something that I got to do, and LJ Edgecombe and a bunch of us. Governor's Cup, then Congressional Cup, and then the America's Cup. And interestingly, there are a number of people that have won 2 of the 3, but no one's ever won 3. Now with the Youth Worlds, I guess we have to add them. But anyway.
Well, Jeffrey won the Worlds, 2-3 years ago, Jeffrey Peterson, yep, and won the GovCup twice. Yep. But has he actually sailed in Congressional Cup by now? Did he qualify? I know he sailed in Ficker. Did he actually get in?
He did. He did 1 year. What was it, 3 years ago or 2 years ago? I can't remember how he did.
He did because, we know because we poached his crew member, Max Brennan, who sailed with him in that event. So we turned him Aussie as well and gained some of his experience. And when we actually went over, we talked a lot about how they set up the boat and stuff like that, try and gain all the experience from other people that we could.
Yeah, Max is sort of special. Jeffrey won a lot of races with him, and then the evil coal tapper converted him. Max was going to school in Australia, and so I don't think Jeffrey was ever the same. But Max is a great guy and a great sailor.
Balboa Yacht Club alum. I mean, native, original, right, Andy? And then he has been. Is he still going to school in Sydney? Is he done? Is he living in Sydney? Max Brennan.
He's finished up now with his uni, and he's spending the next year here. He really wants to do a good Sydney Hobart campaign, and he started one last year, but unfortunately they had to retire pretty quickly. So that one's been evading him, and I don't think you'll see him leave down here until he has a good Sydney Hobart ride.
Now, Andy, have you won Sydney Hobart?
Yeah, both times I sailed, we were first to finish, and the second one we got the double. On Kealoha, we won. We were first to finish and first overall. So I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah. How about you? How about you 3 guys? Have you done a Sydney Hobart yet? Do you obviously aspire to? I suppose.
I've started one. I started one in 2021, but we turned around pretty quickly, so I haven't actually made it to Hobart yet.
Well, it's a good party when you get there. You guys had a good Congressional Cup earlier this year, and you beat Yanni Berenson, who's been winning at Bermuda and other places. Cole there third, along with Hamish and Jack and Max Brennan, of course, and Chris Poole, who's the American who's been doing well on the World Match Racing Tour, and Eric Monine from Switzerland has been having some good regattas as well. But just for warming up for next Tuesday, I want to note this slide, which I found online. That's the skipper's dinner, I believe, at this year's Congressional Cup. You got a coat and a tie on, dark hair, and I hear you were pretty funny.
Well, I don't know about that, but Yeah, look, I've been honing in my media training because no one's been challenging Andy enough in recent years. Morgan's pulled out a few tricks out of his sleeve, which has been good to watch. But honestly, this blonde hair is a bit of a charity act for Andy's roast on Tuesday night. I mean, I think he needs all the material we can give him.
That's sort of a
And,
softball.
I'll be glad to wear it when he gets deep into his roast.
Well, Steve Gruber thinks you need to touch up your roots a bit before you get into that.
You know what, Steve? That's fair enough. That's valid. That's valid feedback.
You tell Gruber. Okay, well, you were great. I hear from Lisa Meyer, the Commodore at Long Beach Yacht Club, and she says you were, the guy, Andy, you will remember, who was the best. Maybe you were. I didn't ever see you in action, but the best guy I ever saw at Long Beach Yacht Club's Congressional Cup. What is that, Tuesday or Wednesday night, the skipper's dinner, when everybody gets dressed up and they all get up and give a talk. Ted Turner was hilarious. Dennis Conner wasn't bad. But Andy, who was the best ever?
Well, I got to go with Harry Cudmore.
Exactly.
Harold, I sailed with Harold in a couple of Congressional Cups, and Crazy Harry from Ireland. But I'll never forget, he talked to me before they had to get up there and said, "Now, do you think this was working? Do you think this will work?" Because he sounds so extemporaneous, but he plans things. But he didn't tell me what he was going to do. So he gets up there and they introduce him and he gets behind the microphone and then he just stands there. And the time goes by and we're going, what the fuck? And then he raises his head and said, "St. Patrick was an Englishman." That was back when the event was right around St. Patty's Day. Anyway, Harold is ridiculous. He's definitely got the gift of gab.
Andrew Dolly Davola, better known as Dolly, he says some green highlights in that hairstyle for some green and gold, the Aussie national sporting colors gold.
There you go.
Yes.
Steve Gruber says, yeah, we used to call him Crudmore, but Harold, I certainly agree, Andy. Cudmore is one of the biggest pieces of work ever. And the first year we did umpiring there at Congressional Cup in '88, he had a fair bit to say about umpires at his talk, and I won't forget that. But I hear you were funny, Cole. Let's see how you do next Tuesday night at the Meet the Teams. And with that, gentlemen, we'll let you get on with your day. But Andy, let's ask these guys a couple of your, I know you've got some questions teed up for them.
Well, I just, I don't know if you know, I write and design the program, and I'm working on an article, a small article bit about the importance of the cruise. And I think Cole and Jeffrey Peterson will be two sailors that would more than admit that the crew is, I'm using the quote, the crew is everything. But I really would like to ask, sort of go through last year. Jeffrey was sort of on a roll and started off the finals against you 2-0, and you came back to beat him 3-2, which is very difficult. I mean, to say the least, psychologically and every other way. What led to that, do you think, Cole and Hamish and Jack?
Well, I think honestly, the first race, I can shoulder a lot of blame there. I had a pretty poor pre-start, and no matter how fast the boys made the boat, unfortunately, we had a pretty big deficit to reach. And then, so that was just, blow one. But then in race number 2, we were very quick, and the shift picking was very good from these two, and we were actually in a really strong position. And maybe a bit of Gavin Brady's red mist. And I think we earned ourselves a penalty on the run, one of which was definitely fair enough, and the other one, which upon rewatching, I think could have been quite stiff. But that sort of just flipped the script on that race. And we actually rounded ahead in race 2. And then we wound up with 2 penalties and and lost what we had was a decent advantage. And that was a function of the boat being fast and getting out of an okay pre-start situation and good shift picking. And then just in the next races, as soon as I stopped handbraking these two with some poor decision making and let the shifts and boat speed do some more talking, that's when we sort of were able to break free a little bit and get some better racing on the scorecard. And I think one thing that we've always been able to do together is dig a very big hole. And we're getting quite good at digging very big holes, but at least when we do get into them, we kind of go, oh, well, it's it's done now, and everyone just sort of comes together. And I think we were aggressively manhandling Fruin in between the racing to get him hyped up, and the vibes stayed very good on board. So I think that was kind of the key to that final series, was despite the scorecard not going our way initially, we knew that we had the potential, given what we'd been working on through the week. And then even in those races, we saw flashes. So we knew that we could pull it together, and we kind of just lent on each other a bit harder later into the series. And that's what really got us.
Hamish,
just some advice first, guys. Don't dig yourself holes. A lot easier if you don't.
Try not to.
Hamish, how'd you win last year?
Look, I think everything that Cole said, I agree with, but I think something pretty underrated that lets us do something like that is like Cole being able to keep his head. I think a lot of skippers would get really flustered in a situation like that. And obviously there's a lot of pressure on the skipper because they're, in charge. They've got the most responsibility. And for Cole to be able to keep his head and not get really frantic with Fruin and I, and letting us do what we know how to do and make the boat fast. And as he said, leaning on us and letting us not be too, worried about it, or if he's worried, meant that we could stay really relaxed going into the race, which, makes our boat handling better, makes our speed better, all that sort of stuff. And I just know, like, if Cole was getting really antsy and going, why aren't we doing well? Why aren't we fast? That sort of thing, it would have made it a lot harder. But one thing Cole's really good at is keeping his head really level and not stressing us out at all. And in fact, we're the ones stressing him out a lot. And he has to say mid downwind, he has to go like, guys, I need you to shut up. It's got to stop. And that's really good.
That's well said, Hamish. And I think that's right. Everybody, all the skippers, Jeffrey always said this, all the skippers, the top skippers say, it's not a really big problem. We just put the last race out of our mind completely and just go on. Not that easy, is it? And that's the key. But to be able to do that, to come from behind on a 0-2 record to 3-2 is really remarkable. And especially when you're saying your boat speed, because, Jeffrey had an advantage for 2 or 3 years, would always go really fast. And for you guys to go even faster is a very impressive feat. So yeah, this will be quite a series, and see if we can welcome you into the 14th member of the 2-Win Club, Cole.
Hey, before we go to you, Jack, you got a fan here, Chelsea Williams. Go Hamish.
Yeah,
is that somebody we know?
Chelsea was who we saw in that photo before from Jeddah. She raced with us.
Nice. She crewed for it. Nice.
Yeah.
And she's saying, go Cole Tapper. A couple other interesting comments. Ed Worley is saying, win as a team and lose as a team. He loves that attitude. Fog Machine, who is Lance Burke here, a superb sailor at St. Francis Yacht Club, saying, trusting the crew is faster than second guessing other people's jobs. Yeah,
that's nice.
Especially when they've got good crew. Go Jack Freeland. Speaking of whom, Chelsea's saying, Jack, how did you win last year?
Yeah, I think the final series was a great test for us, and really something we needed to sort of push us to that next level, sort of challenge for wins and all that. I think we just loved the underdog mindset. Cole sort of thrived in that area, and you would have noticed our head dunk rate on the boat definitely went up after race 2. Big hype up there to get up for it. But yeah, we just really focused on being a team in unison, and when things get tough, we come together, solve the problems rather than pointing fingers and blaming. And no matter what boat we're on, whether on the small boats or big boats, it's always been a factor of the team. And it's such a positive for us going forward.
That's it. That's it. Interesting, Jack.
Nice.
The underdog thing is, some people really do thrive on that. I remember when Ted Turner would go out for the, leave the dock to go out to sail in the America's Cup, they would play the theme from Rocky, as if Ted was the underdog. Well, clearly he wasn't, but it worked,
I remember after the second race, we went over to Jordan, and Cole looked Jordan square in the face and he said, I want you to tell me how bad I am. I want you to tell me how bad I screwed up. And then Jordan just reamed him out. He just went at him and at him and at him. And then Cole was like, right, okay, job's not done.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Is the coach coming this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need Super Coach. We need Super Coach.
Good. Well, we'll have some fun. I've been chatting with him on the side, and I knew he was coming. You know, Julia, I don't ask questions I don't know the answers to. I learned that from Andy.
I know.
Right?
And you're good at it.
Right,
yeah.
Andrew?
But that doesn't always work on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night will be fun. Justin Callahan is on. He should be in bed asleep, and he's saying the head dunks are the key. What does that mean, guys?
It's just when we put our heads in the water to shock ourselves awake, especially when it's somewhere like Newport. It's really hot, and so you got to get the head a little bit wet, cool it down a little bit, and focus up.
It was created, well, I'm sure it's existed a lot longer than this, but I first saw it when I was young, and I was racing with my brother and George Richardson, who we now sail with a lot. It was a freezing Sydney day, and he's sort of just like looking around at the shifts, and he's saying, "Oh, I can't figure it out. You know, I'm having a morning." And I see him, it's in the middle of winter, and he just shoves his head underwater. We're going along at like 10 knots. So he's basically getting his head ripped off the back of the boat. And he just comes up and starts screaming. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Is he insane? And then he started calling them perfectly. So ever since then, it's sort of been a superstition that I have heavily bought into. But if nothing else, it's a lot of fun.
Probably is a good idea.
You think that's good, Julia?
Yeah.
Huh?
Sure.
Can't be a sailor without some superstitions.
Yeah,
Of course.
Andrew, last question to you before we let these guys go.
When do you guys come up?
We leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in on Sunday. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I may see you over at the club Sunday. Well, I'm excited as usual, but I'm probably maybe even a little more excited this year. This is a tremendous group of sailors, and seeing these three is always amusing, to say the least. So looking forward to having a couple ranch waters, gentlemen.
Can't wait.
Exactly.
Can't wait.
Definitely.
Julia, do you know what ranch water is?
I had one last night.
You did? In a can?
Yes.
With alcohol?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. She is the perfectly modern Millie. Julia is always of course she went to Stanford. So you would know she's always a step ahead, Andrew.
Yep, absolutely.
That's no class as all ranch water there though.
Jody Shields has wrapped the show.
Not for all, Jack. Not for all.
Jody Shields says, summary of today's show: root color, coming from behind and reaming out. What a way to start a Saturday morning in Australia. Jody Shields, only Jody would come up with that. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Julia, did you enjoy that?
Absolutely. Always.
And I like the slide that I did yesterday or the day before. We got the Cole et al., Hamish and Jack there on top. If you had to pick one of these guys to knock you off, you probably don't want to say, guys, but if you had to pick one of them, or Andrew, if you wanted to pick one of them, now remember, Justin's on watching. He stayed up late. He's getting some tips here, maybe. Let me ask you, Andy, first, who do you think of these four or anyone else that might have a shot at these guys in the final? Or who do you think will be the finalists with them? That might even be a better question.
Well, I'll resort to cliche here. You know, anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Yep.
College football.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably there are some other Michael Kirkwood. I think will be tough. There's some other competitors we don't know enough about, the Dane or the Swede, but I think there'll be good competition. But certainly the three semifinalists from last year are going to be fighting it out with, right now you'd have to say Cole. Cole and Hamish and Jack have a bit of an advantage, but we'll see. The other guys, some of them are a bit younger, and so their curve is pretty steep. And they'll be a lot better this year than they were last year. So we'll see.
Cole, who do you like the most to get into the finals with you?
Well, I think like everyone who's sailing in Poland right now is going to be coming off some really strong form.
Good point.
I think whenever there's regattas in a row, you get really strong. But if Justin's watching, then everyone but him, we're worried about.
We'd be more worried about Justin if his brother was coming down. He's the real threat in the Callahan family.
Yep.
But as you know, Justin's brother is got a real job in New York. He's there next to Larry Kennedy in the FIDI. He's got an internship, and they're going back to Harvard for their senior year, but he's got a real job. Well, Cole, when we were doing the tech check with with Justin earlier today when I did that recording. He said, yeah, I talked to my brother and I said, yeah, it's tough here. We've had a long day here in Poland and we're tired and we're not, it's, and he said, well, it's better than my day. I'm still in the office and it's a Sunday. I've been here all day.
Yes.
Well, the family plan is pretty simple. Mitchell's going to make heaps of money and then support Justin.
What a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, well, from Julia and myself, guys, and Andy as well, thank you to all four of you and the others who came on. It was a great road to the Governor's Cup. Christian Price says, I am full send on Cole, Hamish, and Jack. Fritz Mueller says they are... say that again, because I was talking over you.
Oh, sorry. I was saying thank you, Christiane. She's always our big supporter. We feel a lot of support.
Yeah.
She is indeed. Yeah. And Fritz Mueller down in Miami is saying they are all great. My money is on Justin. Of course, Justin having grown up down there in Southern Florida. A local guy that has made good. Alan Long in the middle of the country. I'm rooting for the Midwest with Siena as my second. So we'll see. We'll talk some more about that on Tuesday's show down at Newport Beach. Andy, I'll be down there, as you know, on Monday morning and start getting set up for your big shoe, your really big shoe on Tuesday night and our show Tuesday at 1:00.
Have a good flight, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Gentlemen,
Cheers.
thanks very much. Yeah. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. We'll see y'all in due course. Julia, we're so lucky.
Yeah, yes. What a great, what a great crew.
Ted Ryman in Cape Town in South Africa is saying that hair will distract the other competitors. Of course, Cole, Hamish, and Jack will win. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Jody Shields, good to hear some proper accents on the show. You like that, don't you?
Yes. I missed his comments.
Who's that?
Jody Shields.
Well, that's because they're never clean, and I don't read them when they're not clean. Oh, Jody is terrific. He's also a great commentator. We should, Andy and I should retire. We should bring in Jody. And of course, we're going to have Jeffrey Peterson this year. He's very good. And Matt Whitfield's good.
Yes.
And I should just retire and go slowly away and let the young guys take over.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We're going to have another good year at it and a busy year next week. Busy regatta next week.
Busy year next week.
Yeah. What fun and informative group of sailors. Enjoy yourselves, folks. Great interviews. Fritz Mueller, all I can say is that all these folks are remarkable and must have remarkable parents, too. Now, there's a good point, Julia.
Yes,
don't you think?
Absolutely.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, the America's Cup. It's, again, I keep pushing the crickets button here on the sound machine because there's not much going on. It's crickets. But there is a lot going on behind the scenes as we give you our very brief AC38 Cup date. Will 2027 happen in Naples or, and I'll just tell you this, what's going to happen, I think, is that the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron has given an ultimatum to Ben Ainslie and the Royal Yacht Squadron as their challenger of record. That is the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron's challenger of record. And they have said, you gave us, and I've not seen the letter, but I have it. It's being sent to me, actually. I've seen their letter. I've had the letter of challenge read to me that the Royal Yacht Squadron gave to Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron in Barcelona as they crossed the finish line to win again. That is the Kiwis. And what they gave them was a kind of boilerplate standard, what we call hip pocket challenge, calling for a match in 10 months' time in the Northern Hemisphere. That means September, folks. This is July, almost August. That means September. I've got people, including Stingray, watching for ships departing from New Zealand in case they send something toward Europe for a deed of gift match, and they try to enforce that on the Brits.
Wow.
So what do you think of that, Julia?
Yeah, that's news.
Yeah, that's some news. There's also been talk, as we told you on the last show, about them the Kiwis, trying to enforce a match on the Brits in Auckland in December, but I don't see how that's going to happen. That is...
I saw a newspaper article that said that
you
at
did.
one point. Yeah.
And we saw that's what Richard Gladwell said. He said was the dock talk among the journalists, at least, in the media center at Portsmouth last weekend for Sail GP. So I think this thing's going to still probably, sadly, and I hope they settle. I hope they come up with a deal and do a proper America's Cup in due course. But you've got some also smart people on here who are watching and again, this could happen, in the next 5 minutes, or it could happen in the next 500 years. But the volcanic activity, both at Vesuvius and at that Campo Flegrei. Somebody will help me with the pronunciation. I mean, CBS just ran a big piece on that 3 days ago. That I've several of you sent me the video, and things are rumbling. But of course, it could just as quickly go away.
Yes, it
so
could.
We'll see if the Naples area gets run over by some kind of a volcanic eruption, Julia, aside from the America's Cup, which is also a bit of a volcanic eruption. Okay, enough of the Cup. I don't know what the squadron's going to do. Some say they're going to pull out. Some say they're going to negotiate and cave in. We'll see. But regardless, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, having delegated their trustee responsibilities and authority to the team in the person of Grant Dalton, is the worst trustee in the history of the America's Cup. Full stop. Okay, well, that gets us to the last leg. And we do have an interesting last leg today, a little bit different than usual because it's a full-on report about the Admiral's Cup. Thanks to many of you who sent material in, and I have done my best to curate it, to cut it down to the bare essentials. But this, from Richard Gladwell's article last night, day 4, which was the final inshore racing, comes to a very solent conclusion. They had all sorts of strange weather there yesterday, Thursday, for the final day of the inshore racing. And I'm just going to cut to the quick, looking at the team scores, which is what the Admiral's Cup is all about, after all, Richard writes. Hong Kong now enjoys an 8-point lead, as we told you at the top of the show, over Monaco. Several of you picked Hong Kong and Monaco for this Admiral's Cup. Well done. With Italy, meaning Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, in 3rd, and the RNZ in 4th. And of course, Richard, being a Kiwi, probably didn't want to say that the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia is in 5th in that little bit that I grabbed from his article.
Mm-hmm.
Royal Hong Kong, Carl Kwok, former GovCup, I don't know if he won it, but a sailor in it. Gavin Brady there on Carl Kwok's boat, Beau Jest, and they are at the top of the heap with Beau Jest and the other boat that's just something else. Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club in 1st, Yacht Club de Monaco 2nd, as we said, YCCS in 3rd, the RNZ in 4th, and the Cruising Yacht Club in 5th, on down through the Hamburger Segel Club, Julia, in 15th, not doing so well. But what a great turnout, what a great event it has been. The comments, the PR. I'm getting PR from teams. I mean, I'm getting better PR, Julia, from teams in the Admiral's Cup than I get from major regattas. I mean, they're really doing a good job. In particular, this team, this is the Yacht Club Costa Smeralda team, who are sending out great releases, great photos, even some vids.
Yeah.
And that is Team Django. Kevin Rio is their photog. And the full-on release. Admiral's Cup, Team Django, 3rd overall before the grand finale, the Rolex Fascinate race tomorrow. The YCCS team ends the inshore phase with Django Wally Rocket 51. Everybody loves the look of that boat. Leading in the big class, the AC1. Everything will be decided in the world's most famous offshore race tomorrow. Now, one of the guys who's played, Julie, as you know, a big role in bringing the Admiral's Cup back online, and so successfully, is our Fozy. Andrew McIrvin, Mr. Doctor, as he's being called now by everybody, thanks to us, I guess, or no thanks to us. Admiral's Cup course marshal. He not only has been chairing the steering committee and doing all the other things he does, but he's out there on a rib acting, he was during the inshore races, as a course marshal, telling people to steer clear of the racing area, including the journalists, including Richard Gladwell, who got out there and took this picture. And he texted it to me or emailed it to me, and I wrote back to him, and he said, yes, we got marshaled by he calls him Mr. Doctor today. Pity he couldn't marshal the breeze a bit. Yeah, it was strange wind yesterday. They were supposed to be in Christchurch Bay and then had to pull it back, and then it was really a flaky day. But nonetheless, the teams that most of you thought would be at the top of the heap are, in fact. Now, this fabulous photo from I guess a couple of years ago, the Kurt Arago photo. Kurt's from Malta, by the way, and Andrew McIrvin says is absolutely one of the best photographers in our sport today. I just love this photo, so I grabbed it. And Rolex, of course, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Fastnet race starting tomorrow, the race upon which the Royal Ocean Racing Club was founded in, 1925, has grown to become the world's largest offshore race. The 100th anniversary edition will set sail from Cowes tomorrow and finish for a third time in Cherbourg in France, a course of 695 miles. Richard Gladwell wrote some more interesting stuff. He's saying the 100th anniversary of the Fastnet race gets underway tomorrow with fresh conditions forecast. I think it's going to be a little lighter than what people were thinking, easing away to lighter conditions on Sunday and then picking back up on Monday. We'll see. It will be the final and deciding race of the Admiral's Cup and scores triple points. After each Fastnet race, the race is usually categorized as either being a big boat or a small boat event, as most offshore races are categorized that way. A long-running light airs Fastnet will usually work the way of the lower rating boats, while a shorter heavy air Fastnet will be a big boat benefit, as I'm sure most of you on here know. That's Richard Gladwell writing as the New Zealand editor for sail-world.com, and he has been there. He was at Sail GP, and he's been covering now the channel race and the inshore races, and again, doing great journalistic work. Here is a video, the video I promised at the top of the show, which is really John Emmett's second coaching quarter video, but he caught up with one of the VO70s in this race on which his wife is racing. Have a look.
Rather a long time for a certain boat that doesn't appear to be coming in. Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosey. Bit of a late one here, but the south coast of the UK is incredibly busy this time of year. And here we have Green Dragon. I'm not going to try and translate. Coming in, coming in hot, preparing for the Fastnet race. And there's just a huge amount of sailing going on this time of year. And you can probably see in the background, we have those marks from the Sail GP. So I've got a cold, tired and hungry Lily, but I've got back and I'm on Green Dragon as they prepare for the Fastnet. The crew are going to do a little bit of racing practice before the event. I think we're now off for curry, and I'm not sure, and I will bow to superior judgment, whether that's a good idea to have a curry before you do a long offshore race. But it's so nice to see these boats sailing. It's a wonderful sport, and there's so many different parts of it. And the V70, wow, it's quite a beast. It's so big. I thought that she was going to be in about half an hour ago, but they didn't seem to get any closer. One of the things that is so important is we have so many events this time of year, and just to try and give as much coverage to them all. And the Fastnet, it's another very special race. So with that, I just ask you all to share the content. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and follow so you don't miss any more news. And I'm pretty sure I'm off out now for some Indian food if I don't fall out the boat.
Alan Long is asking, John, what is her position, that is Golden Lily's position, Julesia, on Green Dragon? That's an interesting question. Ed Worley is the current TNZ. She's back on the America's Cup. Let's get back to that in a moment, or maybe not at all today. Ed, I'll talk to you offline. But thank you. How many shows? News, views, and notables in yacht racing. That's what this show is about. But how many shows get to have 5 skippers, 7 sailors from around the world live, or live to tape in this case with the 3 of them. And then you get a correspondent from the UK with 2 reports. You get a correspondent from Lake Garda who's an Aussie and a famously popular and cool guy with his daughter. What a fabulous sport. And the Fosey, thank you, make this show. We so appreciate, don't we, Julia?
Absolutely.
Everything that they do. But back here, just to wrap this up, the Fastnet routes for a TP52, there was a terrific article in Yacht Racing Life, that blog today. It's never wrong to eat a curry, Gordon Smith says. I don't know about that, Gordon. But Simon Fisher's 2025 Rolex Fastnet race, weather, and routing outlook was a story today on that Yacht Racing Life. That's Justin Chisholm's terrific blog. With light to moderate winds forecast, this year's Rolex Fastnet won't be a record breaker. But according to legendary British navigator Sci-Fi, Simon Fisher, better known as Sci-Fi, it could be brutal on the brain. I like that alliteration. With moderate breeze, tricky tides, and a high-stakes routing. Do you say routing, Julia, or routing?
I have to say routing.
I do too. A routing game from Cows to Fastnet Rock and then back to Cherbourg in France. That's Justin Chisholm. I commend the article to you. I commend his blog to you. I get it regularly, and I appreciate very much him including us on that. Then this comment came in from one of after seeing the video today, which I watched, but it was rather too long to put on the show. But this comment came in after the weather briefing, and he said, and you can see Gordon in light there.
Yep.
Guess who?
Yes.
Fastnet skipper's briefing was excellent. 12 knots average, westerly wind against the growing easterly tide at the start with max tidal flow at 3 p.m. Weather pattern persists, giving an average 12 knots downwind home leg with waves of 1.2 meters, long periodicity.
That's a good word.
Periodicity? In the Irish, I don't know, I have to ask Gordon. He's too smart for me. In the Irish Sea should be nice for those racing. And that, of course, is from Gordon Smith, Brit living in Denmark, and a super fuzzy to be sure. Finally, here is a fabulous Rolex video previewing tomorrow's Fastnet race.
The challenge of a lifetime, a tradition, and an obsession. Since its inception a century ago, the Rolex Fastnet race has proven time and again a defining test for offshore sailors.
The challenge is absolutely the same, but one thing that hasn't changed is the Fastnet Rock. It's special, and I couldn't tell you why.
Sailing's largest offshore race is organised by the Royal Ocean Racing Club and has been supported by Rolex for a quarter of a century. Celebrating 100 years, the race has enticed a record entry to the start line in Cowes on the Isle of Wight. Over 450 yachts, crewed by passionate offshore sailors, professional and Corinthian from 40 nations, will take on this preeminent challenge, in a fleet breathtaking in both its scope and diversity. The race is a 695 nautical mile odyssey across the waters of 3 countries, from the south coast of England, twice traversing the Celtic Sea, to the finish in Cherbourg en Cotentin, France. The route is a complex navigational challenge, taking in the confined waters of the Solent and the Atlantic Ocean swells, before the rounding of Ireland's Fastnet Rock, the race's emblematic halfway point. And finally to the extreme tides off the Normandy coast, just before the finish in Cherbourg en Cotentin.
It never stops really all the way to the finish. You can never rest, so there's always something to plan, something to be cautious of. Yeah, it's a full package.
It's a grueling challenge that attracts some of the fastest and most technologically advanced racing craft on the oceans. Within the main body of the fleet, everyone can harbour ambitions to lift the Fastnet Challenge Cup, awarded to the overall race winner, a highly coveted trophy and a crowning achievement for any sailor.
People come back because there's a siren call to go to the Fastnet Rock.
The centenary edition of the Rolex Fastnet race commences on Saturday, July 26th.
How was that for a video, Julia?
Oh, fabulous.
You want to do that race?
No.
No. We could probably strap a chair on there, and you could like some guys did back in the days when they were on the
right
18th man on the IACC boats.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Dolly DeVoe is a bit biased, but he likes Scallywag line honors and Zen to win uncorrected on IRC. Fabulous video. Thank you, Rolex, for all you do for our beloved sport. By the way, you can watch it live via the tracker. And it's all, in fact, the tracker is already live. That's a screen grab from several hours ago. As you can see, some of the boats still making it across the English Channel over to the starting line in the Solent from France. And it should be a lot of fun. We'll all be tuning in.
Yes.
Julia, who's your choice to win?
I don't have one yet.
Okay. Fritz Mueller thinks that there's going to be start coverage on YouTube. What time GMT? I don't know. Some of you in the chat may know. If so, please put it in there for Fritz and the rest of us. How many of the 4 entered UL teams, the catamarans, the cats or tries actually, will finish? Fog Machine, a.k.a. Lance Burke, is asking. That is a good question. Bill Yeoman says there has to be palm trees at the finish.
Yeah, right.
Huh? Typical. Let's go to Hawaii and race in the Transpac race. Okay,
Right.
Julia, this is also now an all mostly Aussie Whiskey Tango Foxtrot today in honor of all the Aussies we've had on the show, particularly Cole Tapper and co. here at the end. That was just so much fun, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Julia. Now, this guy
Yes.
is your favorite guy, I know.
Yes.
And I've tracked down one of his commercials here. You'll see why in a moment.
He is the life of parties he has never attended. If he were to punch you in the face, you would have to fight off the strong urge to thank him. Sharks have a week dedicated to him. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis.
I prefer Dos Equis.
Stay thirsty, my friend.
He's still alive, last we knew. We checked on him some time ago.
Yeah.
You keep saying you're going to get him on the show.
Oh, I'd really love to.
Well, these commercials, these Dos Equis commercials have spawned, I discovered today.
Yes.
Today. There's a whole long list of these most interesting man, the most interesting Irish man, the most interesting Canadian man, the most interesting British man, the most interesting fresh man, and on and on and on. And I'm going to play one that was sent by several of you. I must have shown up on some sailing website or Facebook page or something. I'm going to play this one. And then I think for each additional show going forward, we're going to play one from making real fun of various countries and various cultures. Let's start in honor of the Aussies with the Aussie version of the Dos Equis commercial.
He once got stolen by a dingo as a baby. He's never worn shoes on purpose. When he stirs his drink, it always swirls counterclockwise. He tells tourists to watch out for drop bears with a straight face. His ute drives itself to the bottle when it's low on stubbies. He boxes kangaroos in his spare time. His sister is a professional breakdancer. He's never opened a beer with his hands. He has a pet spider the size of a small dog. He greets his nan with, "G'day, you old cunt," and she laughs it off. He says, "No worries, mate," during actual emergencies. He brings his own esky to weddings and funerals. He corrects waiters at restaurants on what a real knife is. He considers 200 miles to be next door. His best man speech ended with a shooey. He reaches for his gun, forgetting he turned his in. He doesn't always cause international incidents, but when he does, he prefers Bali. When he goes to the zookeepers try to tame him. He is the most Aussie bloke in the world.
I don't always drink wine, but when I do, it's from a goddamn sack of goo.
Now, there are so many of these produced, apparently, somebody called Abandoned Films, and there are so many of these that we could run these probably for the rest of our, this year, if not more, in addition to whatever else we run in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Maybe we'll do the Brit one next. Yeah. There's also one on the most typical or whatever is Californian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that's hurt. That's really hurtful. But it's sadly Kind of true. Kind of true, Julia.
Yeah.
Alan Long, great stuff. Pedro Foiling Sailor, the C word, it's called taking the piss, Julia. I didn't see a shake of your finger, a wag of your finger there. Did you give us one? Yeah, I think he deserves that. I have seen many of those. They are hilarious. They're all on YouTube, and I'm going to play a few more just for fun. Now, remember we were telling you the other day about there are several of these videos now, kind of TikTok videos of laser sailors standing up forward of their mast. And you know how tippy a laser is.
Yeah, right.
And doing kind of a TikTok dance.
Right.
And the first one somebody sent me, I played, had somebody hiding in the back of the boat. You could see their legs or their knees in the very back of the boat. This is an Aussie kid on an Ilka on a laser without anyone else in the boat. Have a look at this. Aussie, 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 oi, 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 Philly Owens is saying. Look, there's nobody in the boat. He's got the tiller extension kind of jammed under forward of the main sheet and under the something in the front of the cockpit.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Huh?
Yes.
Now, remember that whole thing from Australia the other day, or maybe it was a couple, 3 weeks ago now, about the woman who poisoned her husband with beef Wellington?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beef Wellington apparently put poisoned mushrooms in it or something, an Aussie lady, and she was convicted. Well, that, it's caused a big stir down there. I haven't seen too much ink up here. But Alistair Murray sent this one, apropos that. The 3 deadliest things in Australia are box jellyfish, the bull shark, and beef Wellington. Okay. And then this lady's got the supposed T-shirt on. I thought you would enjoy.
Yes.
Shiitake happens, Julia.
Oh, yes, it does.
Oh, my goodness. Alistair Murray, thank you for sending that. Finally, we'll wrap up with our usual one, which is from Blake Middleton. All the smartest people sail. And that is indeed true, Julia. We'll wrap this one up. We're only 11 minutes after 3 here, our time. So we're only 2 hours and 11 minutes, a little shorter than I even thought it would be.
Yes.
And we are to the finish line. And you like to say at the finish line, Julia.
Never miss the opportunity to like, follow, and share.
Indeed. And comments? Carry on.
Yeah. And each of those contribute geometrically to the people.
Geometrically?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Who could and should like to see us.
Well, indeed. And we appreciate very much all of you coming on here, but especially those of you who give us a few bucks a month to help keep us on the air. I won't go cameras 2 and camera 4, but you know what it's like to have a studio that allows us to do the kind of show. We've never done a show like this show today with people live all over the place and tape and multiple camera angles via Zoom. That's some software that now costs $29 a month so that I could have Andy on one camera shot.
Yeah.
We could have Jack Freeman on another camera shot. Those 2 guys on a close-up camera shot with some very nice software that does cost a few bucks, a monthly fee. And thanks to all of you who keep us in the clover. Thanks very much for your support. Tier DeYoung, Fritz Mueller, and all the rest, thank you for your kind comments. Thank you also to everybody who gave us, their, without the audio and the video and the images, thanks to all of you making this possible. And with that, we'll say so long. We'll see you on Tuesday, same time, same channels, all the same channels, Julia.
Yes.
And no Friday show next week because we'll be doing GovCup, but I will do a Tuesday show from GovCup with Christine Gribben at our normal time, 1300 Pacific, 2000 UTC this time of year. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.